Hey, what's going on, you guys? Just another guitar lesson for you. This one's going to be all about some lead patterns, as I like to call them. They're just an introduction to lead guitar, and of course some commonly used licks and different like soloing types of stuff that you can use, and a lot of different types of soloing patterns that I see a lot in people's solos. So anyway, if you haven't watched my previous lessons, you know what to do. Go check out my old ones. Check out my website. It's redisheshredder.com, and it's going to have a lot of text and tabs for all these lessons, so be sure to check that out. And as always, I tune all my strings down a whole step, so if you want to play along, I'm actually tuned in D, but I'll refer to all the notes and everything and all the keys as if I was in standard tuning. So if you want to play along, playing guitar is more than just hitting notes. It's not like playing Guitar Hero, where you can kind of hit notes at the right time and it's just ding 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 ding, and you'll get points. That's not how real guitar playing is like. You have to, it's not mechanical. It shouldn't be a chore. It should be fun. It should sound good. That's number one. So what I'm saying about that is, like, I strongly discourage you to just sit around and play stuff like this. I say that a lot of times for stuff like in guitar lessons, like, you should do this to like warm up your hands. Well, I say you shouldn't do that. I think you should play songs and play scales and play solos to warm up your hands. I don't see any point in doing stuff like that when you can get the same benefit out of actually playing a real solo. It works for some people, so if it works for you, then go ahead and do it, but I strongly discourage you from doing stuff like that. So anyway, another thing I see a lot of times is guys will try to mimic a guitar solo based on what they see in a tab, and a lot of times tabs, it's like running through a computer program. If you got Guitar Pro or something like that, that's never going to be able to capture all of the little idiosyncrasies that a player will have, like little nuances of an actual guitar player. So if you're reading a tab and you're trying to learn a solo, don't try to learn every single nuance and like little slide and stuff like that from the tab. You should use your ears to like play the song, play the solo with your own kind of touch in there. And that especially is true because a lot of times tabs are wrong. And so we talked about that in a previous guitar lesson. But anyway, you should also learn how to improvise. All the great players can improvise, and it's a really important skill. It's just basically like having a conversation. In order to be like a really good at improvising, you have to be able to just know scales, know your notes on your fretboard, and just know what won't work, and then just experiment around with it. If you want to see some good improvisation, check out any Yngwie Malmsteen live concert DVDs. He's really good at improvising, so give that a shot. And so yeah, so that's pretty much it. And along the same lines for improvising, you can always add and remove notes from a scale to change the way your leads sound. You should just know that as you add more notes that aren't in the scale to the scale you're playing, you're slowly moving away from that scale and becoming more kind of atonal. Like, for example, I know a lot of times a lot of metal guitar solos aren't just in, like, let's say A minor. It might be an A minor, but then they also add that flat fifth in there that's not usually in the A minor scale, but they add it in there just to make it sound kind of interesting. So yeah, and another piece of advice I have for you: don't forget about rhythm when playing guitar. I notice a lot of people like just completely forget about the rhythm. When you're playing lead, you got to remember to keep on beat, keep playing your clean playing technique so that it doesn't sound noisy or anything like that, and know when to like switch gears in a lead so that you're picking hard, picking soft, stuff like that. Here are a couple of different examples I've got for you in the key of A minor. And it's going to be 4 different types of patterns that each have 3 notes. So I've noticed a lot of guitar solos use these 3-note patterns to build solos. So I'll just show you 4 different kinds. These particular ones just use half and whole steps. So there's 4 different ways you can have 3 notes and combine half and whole steps in there. So but anyway, I'll just show them to you. They're really common, and as always, learn them on different strings and different keys and everything. So let's just go through them. There's 4 of them. So here's the first one, something like that. Just those 3 notes. Here's another one, and then another one is this, and then the last one is also an A minor, but you have to add the flat fifth. It's an E flat. So yeah, it's just those 3 different patterns. It's just you pick a starting note, and you just either have a half step or whole step, and then another half step or whole step interval. There's 4 different kinds of them. So if you want to practice those, you can use some different kinds of alternate picking techniques. So alternate picking, you can know how to do is just down, up, down, up. It's really simple. I would suggest if you want to practice alternate picking, you should try them with just these simple patterns first. So let's just do a few. Here's a simple one. Here's another one, simple. And yeah, here's another one. It's also simple. So anyway, I just want you to learn the shapes, and I want you to try them on different strings and so on and so forth, and you can play kind of cool sounding classical stuff with that first type of alternate picking. You can do something like this. Oh, and it's also a children bottom solo, I think Vafa, similar to that. And or you can change it. That goes a little bit out of key, so. Let's just use those three shapes, and let's try doing like a really simple scale. It's just an A minor scale, although you can add notes and take away notes, like I said earlier. So here's just like a descending A minor scale. You can do it ascending too. It's really common in a lot of metal solos. And then ascending. And that's it. A lot of times I add the major seventh, so in this case it would be a G sharp, and it just, I just add it in there just for no particular reason. If it kind of sounds a little bit harmonic minor, but I'll just do it and you can decide for yourself if you like it or not. And then ascending. I'm going to change gears a little bit. It's more like pentatonic sounding, a little more bluesy sounding. And for this one, it's going to be also an A minor too. So let's just try that out. This is the like a two-string, two notes on each string pattern. And you can do that in an octave higher too if you want. Oops. And you can throw in some pull-ons and hammer-offs, stuff like that. Pull-offs and hammer-ons, stuff like that if you want. And then another thing I noticed a lot of times is you can just take out one of the notes on the lower string and just do that note on the higher string instead, just as like a little, kind of like a little small variation. So it would be like this. The old one was like this, and so for this variation, it would be like this. Here's another really common kind of shape used. It's like pentatonic based, once again, A minor. It's using some bending and some double stops. So, but you'll use it all the time if you learn any of these solos. So it'll sound something like this. So there's that. And then another really common type of bending thing would be on the next higher strings, and this is something that you'll see in a lot of songs. Alright, here's another bending pattern I use a lot. It's just bend. You just play a note, bend up to it, and play it again really rapidly. So once again, A minor, pentatonic. Here's what it is. And you could do it on other strings. Here's one I just call the Alexi chromatic pattern. It's just a chromatic scale, but I've heard it in a couple of Children of Bodom songs, so here it is. It's just a chromatic scale, like I said, but it's just kind of played interestingly, so. And so on and so forth. Thanks for checking out this lead guitar video, and hope you like it. Hope the patterns help you out, and we'll have more coming up. So yeah, alright you guys, until next episode, peace. Yeah.